time for Dave 101.
It is the news that just will not go away, no matter how much we try and say, let's move on from the UFO topic. No, we can't. And there's reason why. Shortly, coming up, both Robert Salas and maybe Luis Elizondo will be appearing as witnesses in Brazil for their own governmental hearings regarding unidentified aerial phenomena. We have seen it recently in the United States with the congressional hearings, which we are expecting within the next few weeks there to be more of these and more eyewitnesses and testimony called to Washington, D.C. Who will be on that list? We don't know. It's fun to speculate. If I were to give my top 5, this is who I would choose. I would want Luis Elizondo to speak. I would want Chris Mellon to speak. I would want Stanford scientist Gary Nolan to speak. I would like Eric Davis or Admiral Wilson to speak on the Wilson-Davis documents on the record. I would like somebody like Robert Bigelow to speak. And the reason? Well, before all of this became public, Bigelow was a big player in Nevada with UAP. So, why is this story important? Because we now see other governments around the world starting to take this subject very, very seriously. We've seen the conversation open up as the U.S. congressional hearings were literally worldwide news, front page news. This has never happened in the UFO world before. And even though it was only 50-some years ago to the previous UFO hearings in the United States, this time it seems a little different. It seems like the media is finally waking up to the point that this story is not going away, that the tinfoil hat people were actually right, and there is something that needs to be discussed. We look right here in Canada, where I am, and broadcasting from central British Columbia, where there are a plethora of UFO sightings annually. Here, we are seeing, for the first time, government officials talk about UFOs. It's all been led by Conservative Member of Parliament Larry Maguire, who we had an exclusive interview with. And Maguire has never seen a UFO. No, he's never seen one. In fact, he admitted on this show that he became interested in this topic because of what was happening south of the border. And like any good mathematician, he was able to put 2 plus 2 together, and it equaled 4. And if it equaled 4, that meant that if it's happening in the United States, there's a very good chance that UFOs are happening in Canada as well. This is starting to gain momentum. It's taken a couple of years while he has garnered support within his own party for researching UAP. It has also crossed the floor to other parties to see what they think, and they believe that it should be investigated as well. However, the way the Canadian parliamentary system works, the head party, which is the Liberal Party by Justin Trudeau, hasn't quite picked up UAP just yet. Even though we know members, including former Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan, was read in just 4 days before the DIA report was released June 25th of last year in Washington, D.C. And we know that back in 2019, former ambassador to the United States, David McNaughton, allegedly has met with Prime Minister Trudeau and other executives of the Liberal Party to discuss unidentified aerial phenomena. Now, this story needs our support. It doesn't matter whether you're Canadian like I am, American like most of our listeners and our radio stations, or whether you're in the United Kingdom, South Africa, Japan, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, where a lot of our listeners are. This subject, we have to remember, is unifying around the world. This is a subject that will affect every single person on this planet. And like we've stated before on this show, there are very few times where something will affect everybody. Nuclear holocaust would be one. And let us hope that we never, ever see that day of light, because that will truly be scary. We could think of something like a pandemic type disease, maybe worse than COVID. Look, if you go back in time and see a lot of the other plagues that have happened, it's wiped out way more people. Now, this isn't to get into a COVID debate, but there are certain areas on this planet where people were not affected, especially those on smaller islands where, well, let's just say they're still quite uninhabited and still partying like it's $4.99, not $19.99 like Prince used to sing. And here we go. Pandemics, nuclear holocaust, Jesus Christ coming down from the heavens above to say, hey, boys and girls, I'm back. That would affect everybody, wouldn't it? But extraterrestrials, the final frontier of space, that would blow the lights off of everybody, where we would finally realize that no, we are not alone in this universe. Now, for Canada, we are still a little bit behind on things. We are still at the point where we don't know what this is. We don't want to say it's extraterrestrial just yet. Unlike the conversations that are happening in the United States, where they do believe that it is something. We only have to look at Representative Mike Gallagher, who literally said on a podcast, we don't know where they're coming from. Are they time travelers? Are they from different dimensions? Are they from outer space? Are they from inner Earth? We really don't know. That's the first time that that has been opened up in public. And there's a lot of conversations that do need to be opened up in public. And there's a lot of conversations that we, the people, need to know about. And this is where it comes down to disclosure. What is disclosure? Now, some people will say disclosure has happened because the federal government, especially in the United States, has already disclosed these events are happening. Canada is on its way. Many other countries like Brazil, Australia are on their way as well. There are those who feel that disclosure has not happened, like myself. I consider this more confirmation of what is going on. But as an experiencer, I've had my own disclosure because everybody's disclosure is different. Yours is going to be different than mine. Mine is going to be different than my son's. My son's is going to be different than my daughter's. That's going to be different than their mom's. That's going to be different than many other things. We can all have a personal disclosure, that personal, aha, I get it moment. But what we don't have is the information that we desire. To me, true disclosure is talking about what happened at Roswell, what happened at Shag Harbor. What kind of craft was that left radiation burns on Stefan Mikulik at Falcon Lake? What were those gigantic boomerang-shaped craft over Phoenix in 1997? What really did happen at the Ariel school where the elementary kids ran into extraterrestrials? This is what we need to know. We need to know what's happening with missing people. We need to know what's happening with those who just vanish. Are they going through portals? Is Bigfoot taking them? Is Dogman serving them for dinner? Or are aliens grabbing them? Or are they walking through into a different timeline? This earth holds a number of mysteries that we still cannot comprehend or understand because it goes such against the true grains of the science that we know right now that there is no way on Neil deGrasse Tyson's round earth that we will ever be able to figure it out. Many of our scientists are too arrogant to understand. Many of our scientists do not want to go down this road because of their tenure, because of government grants or private grants where they don't want their name associated with anything to do with extraterrestrials, UFOs, or the woo in general. And it's sad because once again, it falls on the people. The people who have interest in this subject, the people who have experienced things that are out of this world. We know that things are happening, but we need to know the true details of everything that the government knows. We need to know, do we have crash retrievals? Have we met extraterrestrial species? Have we been in contact with those species? Have we been in contact with other strange anomalies? Is it about God? Is it not about God? Does God exist? What exists? We know the phenomena exist, but what exactly is the phenomena? The scariest part of all this is recently in a private conversation I had with one of my sources while we were down in Vegas for the first ever SOR fan party, was this: the phenomena is everything. It is Mother Earth. It is this desk that I'm sitting at. It is the microphone that I'm speaking to you. It is my dogs, my cats, every person on this planet, your animals, the grass in your front yard, the plants you keep at home, the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the UFOs, the missing time, the consciousness, the psychic ability, the NDEs, OBEs, every tree in the forest, every drip of water that falls from the sky and fills our lakes, ponds, and rivers. It is absolutely everything the phenomena is. And we have no idea with our current science and our current brain power of what or how to explain the phenomena. We don't know if we are an experiment. We don't know if this is something that is magically created. We don't know if reincarnation is real, even though many religions believe on this planet that it is in fact real. We don't know. That is the most powerful answer that we can get. But what we are figuring out is that this whole phenomena thing, there may be something to it. We need to pay more attention, which is why this falls on the shoulders of the people. As voters, as citizens of whatever country you are in, except for maybe North Korea, where they don't get much say, we need to be able to talk to our elected representatives regarding this. We need to put the pressure on them. It doesn't take one citizen. It takes many constituents to start rattling the chains of the constituency doors, of their office doors, of their emails, of their phone lines, of their social media pages, to ask them point blank, what is happening with UFOs? No longer are politicians going to be able to remain silent on this. And in fact, many of them are silent on it because they've never experienced it before. They've never experienced the rush of understanding their constituents want to know, or having experiences themselves, whether it's sighting of dots in the sky, or whether it's aliens grabbing them, or Bigfoot in the forest, or a ghost haunting their house. You see, the politicians don't understand the phenomena. And when you don't understand something and you cannot comprehend the knowledge that it takes to understand this, even one iota, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to look like fools. They don't want to look like they are an embarrassment to a subject that could get them in trouble in front of the media. Look, my own politician here, he is a shadow deputy minister or critic to the Minister of Defense. He still hasn't sent me an email back saying, Dave, remember that conversation we had about UFOs? Yeah, you might be right, Dave. Haven't had that conversation yet. I'm waiting. I want it to happen, but it isn't. So as citizens of whatever country you are listening to this from, do yourself a favor. Get a hold of your federal elected officials. Email them, phone them, Try and talk to them and explain to them that you are passionate about this subject in learning what is going on. Eventually, we might be able to get an answer or two or three that leads to some sort of disclosure. And that is your Dave 101.